Hello, everybody. Ella J here on behalf of WrestleZone, and today I'm joined by an international superstar, the woman with three faces, Calypso. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm so excited to do this interview.
Me too. I'm super excited because it's not very often I get to chat with people. I talk to a lot of like the UKers and all that, but it's not too often I get to talk to a woman from Paris, France. So I just want to say I'm super honored to be chatting with you here today. You call yourself the woman with three faces. I know part of this persona was drawn from your background in plays, and you like to keep things a little bit mysterious with this persona. But can you kind of further explain the origin story behind the woman with the three faces and what this moniker specifically means to you?
Um, well, I came out with this gimmick during the pandemic.
Yes.
I was doing a lot of like research on how to improve myself in wrestling because I've before the pandemic, it was like maybe 3 years that I've been into wrestling, and I didn't really have a gimmick. Like I was wrestling, but didn't really have a gimmick. And I've always loved like wrestlers that had like a great gimmick that we still remember now. And I wanted to find something. So I did a lot of research in what I am and everything. And it's kind of like a part of me, but like exaggerated because since I was little, I always had like very like extreme mood swings. Like I could go from happy to mad like really, really fast. And my mom like kept always telling me that I was like kind of like a lunatic sometimes. So I was like, maybe I need to put that into my work and into my gimmick. So that's kind of like a part of me that I like exaggerated and put it into my gimmick.
Yeah, like you said, a lot of this identity was born throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. You mentioned doing a lot of research. I'm curious, can you talk about more about that process and that research that you did specifically, what you looked into when you were trying to create this character now?
Well, I asked a lot about to my mom about like how I was when I was little and how I used to act because you know when you're a child you act very natural, very spontaneous. So I wanted to like ask my mom on how I was when I was a child. And she told me that. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. I need to use that. And then I used to do a lot of theater and stuff. So that's why the mask and the tragedy mask and stuff. So yeah, that was like a lot of like searching from who I was when I was a child and and especially like the child that dreamed to be a wrestler one day. So I felt like me as a child was like the more um like interesting um like thing to research.
Yeah, it's hard too because everybody's like first memories or childhood is always kind of fuzzy, especially those early years. So it's good that you got like a parent's perspective from that who kind of knows you the best. And obviously, you mentioned you have this background in plays and theaters. I don't know the extent of that. So can you kind of talk about your experience and background in that realm specifically?
Yeah, well, my parents always like wanted us, like me and my brothers and sisters, like to do like sports and be active and stuff. So I've always been doing like something. When I was little, I started with the judo. I did like maybe 7 years of judo. And then I discovered wrestling when I was like seven, something like that. Um, and yeah, I discovered that. I kept doing judo because it was like the most similar thing to wrestling. Then I started gymnastic, dance, like a lot of things, and theater because I've always loved to entertain people. So theater was like a lot of like entertaining, you know. And then at 16, I started wrestling in a school in France, and yeah, everything started from there.
I feel like with all of that background before wrestling, like gymnastics, dance, and theater, I feel like it kind of all in judo, I feel like that all kind of definitely molded you to be able to adapt to wrestling more easily, I think, because you have that background in entertainment and also staying physically fit and like keeping up with the stamina and all of that. So would you say that transition to wrestling then, obviously it's not easy, but would you say it was more seamless because of your background and everything else?
Yeah, I think it was pretty easy to start because, like, since I was a kid, I wanted to wrestle and I
Yeah.
couldn't because I was too little. So I always tried to like find something that could help me one day to wrestle. And yeah, so I think like when I started, like I already knew how to bump and stuff like that. So it was like very easy for me to start because I had like everything that helped me.
Yeah, so I think especially being backed by everything that you had in entertainment, sports wise, physicality wise, kind of set you up for, I feel like, to get ahead of the curve, especially starting out with your training. And now here you are, what, 7 years later? That's incredible to see where you are now. And kind of going back to your character as the woman with three faces for a minute, you have multiple masks that you wear, which obviously can signify good versus bad, heel and baby face. Can you talk about the significance and like the colors and just the significance of the masks that are paired with this character presentation?
Basically, it's like there's like it's basically there's three Calypso.
Yeah.
The one with no mask that's like pretty neutral and pretty like focused into like um doing her match and winning her matches. Um the happy face mask is more about loving people and loving everyone around her and just want to like give love to everyone. And the sad mask is more like the darkest side, like like the hate that she has inside of her and everything, and just all that comes out of her during the match.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, you've got all your bases covered too as well. I feel like it perfectly signifies, and you can, whether you're designated as good or bad, if you have a mask ready to go pretty much, which I think is awesome. And kind of specifically in that character presentation is also your ring gear and all of that. You've got little bit of metallic going on there. I've also seen you sporting some white and gray, so it varies. But what would you say are some of your general sources of inspiration when you're crafting or envisioning your ring gear designs? What does that process look like for you?
Um, I don't know. It's just like how I feel like I've always really been like into fashion and stuff, and I always loved to like buy clothes and stuff. Like I spent all my money in clothes,
Mood.
and I felt like wrestling. I needed to have like multiple gears and gears that I love and that like kind of looks expensive and looks like professional. When I was little, I used to like watch all the wrestlers and the women's wrestler that had all these beautiful
Yeah.
gears. They were sparkling. They were like amazing, and I always dreamed to have like one of mine. So now that I can like design it, I'm like, oh my God. And yeah, I know like what suits me and what doesn't suit me and the colors that I love and everything. So I just like draw something and I was like drawing and drawing and over and over again until I find like the gear that I love. So yeah.
What Yeah, I feel like there's, I don't know, it's not like earthy neutral colors, but like it's very like they look expensive. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's like very sleek and all of that. Like I love, it's like gold, but it's also kind of bronzy. Then you have your white and gray gear, which I think looks really good. Is there like a certain color pattern or certain colors that you find yourself sticking to or drawing towards?
Um I feel like yeah, the gold bronzy stuff like I really love. Um and yeah, there's like I'm gonna have like a blue gear that's gonna come out soon and I used to have a blue gear before
Yes.
and since the beginning that I'm wrestling I always had blue, so I think blue is like the color I'm like really into. And yeah, I'm just like always like having new gears. Gonna have the blue one soon. then probably gonna have a green one soon because green is my favorite color. So yeah, I don't know, but it's still gonna have like the gold bronzy thing into it.
Yeah, I feel like that's your staple, especially with your, I don't know what you call it, but the outerwear piece that you come out and then you take off.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it like sticking with that theme because that's such a staple piece to your look.
yeah.
So I kind of like how you tie that in. And you mentioned, growing up watching all these figures in wrestling and their gear. I'm curious between then and now, who do you think has had the best ring gear game or aesthetic then and then now as well?
Hmm. Oh my God, that's a hard question.
There's a lot of people with good gear.
Yeah, and I that was one thing that I love about wrestling was gears. That I've always loved that. Um, I think back then when I was a kid, it was like Melina's outfit that I loved because like she had like those furry sometimes do for entrance like those furry
Yeah.
thing that she put behind her, and yeah, I loved her gear. Um, Now, oh my God, now they do so much with the gears now. Um, I feel like Liv Morgan has like amazing gears.
Mhm.
Um, all the Japanese girls like they have amazing gears. Like that's crazy. They have like so many details in them. Um, yeah, I don't know who has the best. I couldn't give one name.
You can give multiple, just kind of whose did you admire or do you appreciate? That's all.
Oh my God. Oh, there's so many. Yeah, Liv Morgan. I gotta say Liv Morgan because like
Agree.
her gears is always like
Agree.
amazing.
Mm-hmm. Agree. She's amazing. She's also one person who I've asked this question to multiple people because I love like different people's perspective. She's one I would say besides Sasha Banks, Mercedes Monet that comes up consistently in this conversation because I absolutely agree to like ring gear game strong. So she knows who she is and it just looks so well put together, And I'm curious, part of your journey is also this growth, one of the challenges that you had was creating your persona, which you're maybe, it's never a fluid thing. People are always evolving their own characters. But outside of the character aspect, can you kind of talk about some of the challenges that you have faced in your career so far and how did you cope with or approach them?
Um, to answer that, I gotta like give some background about me
Yeah.
in wrestling. So basically, I started wrestling at 16, like in a small like promotion in France called Wrestling Stars.
Yes.
Um, and basically, they are very, very old school. So
Exclusive. Yes.
they taught me like the old wrestling, French wrestling style. So for my first 3 years, I was wrestling on the wrong side because you know you have a side like on wrestling, like you wrestle on the left side. I used to wrestle on the right side. I know that like in the lucha libre they used to wrestle. Well, still wrestle on the right side, but so I had to like learn that again when I left. And when I was there, I learned like pretty much just matches. Like I was doing one match, like the same exact match for a year, an entire year, and then we would change the match and then do it again for an entire year. So I wasn't really improving myself there. So after 3 years there, I was like kind of sick of it and I wanted to like evolve. So I got out of this promotion and went to APC in France and started training there. So with like Rick Salem, Aigle Blanc, and everyone, every French guy over there. And yeah, I learned like the real wrestling, like how you really wrestle. Um, but so still now I have like some hard time like with like some technical stuff in wrestling, like chain wrestling and stuff like that, because like there's so many stuff that you need to learn as a beginner that I didn't, and I was just thrown very fast in the ring and didn't really have like the basis of wrestling. So it was really hard, and still now it's very hard for me, like with just like the basic stuff, because I didn't learn that in the
Mhm.
beginning. So I'm trying to work on that, like on my in-ring and my technical stuff and and the psychology too and everything.
You had a recent special opportunity. You didn't get to wrestle her, but you did get to share the locker room with wrestling legend Mickie James, who's one of my absolute favorite people, during an appearance at ABC in France. You posted a photo of you meeting her, recalling the younger version of yourself, looking up to her and imitating her theme song. Take us back to that moment specifically and what it meant to you.
Oh my God. That was just a crazy moment. Like I was really looking forward to that show because she was gonna be there. And I feel like that was an accomplishment of like all my dream because like yeah, when I was a kid, she was one of the first like wrestler I saw. Her and Melina were my favorites when I was a child. And I saw her and I was like, I loved her. And when I was 10, I got the opportunity to go to WrestleMania 26 and I saw her wrestle and I was just amazed. And my I think it was my dad or one of my brother that took the picture that I posted and it was during Mickie James entrance. And I was just like really like it was at this moment that I wanted to wrestle, like that I wanted to do this. So when I saw her and shared the backstage with her, it was just like an amazing moment. Like it was like, oh my God, like the child in me was like, oh my God, that's why you do that. Like that's your dream. Like that was one of your role model, and now like you're kind of like co-workers with her now. So like that was just amazing, and she's like amazing. She's so sweet. She's just like, oh my God,
I can attest to that. That's my homegirl. I can attest to that.
yeah.
Can you talk about more about Mickie and Melina's kind of influence on you growing up?
Um, I don't know. I think it was because they didn't really look like the other wrestler at that
Yeah.
time. Like they stood out of it, and they like kind of not that there's anything wrong with the other girls, of course, but they show like something else, and yeah, it was just like girls that I could identify more to than the other ones. So yeah, I don't know, like that they influenced me so much into what I'm doing now, and yeah.
I think that, what a full circle thing. Have you had the opportunity to interact with Melina yet? I was gonna say we need that full circle with her too.
No, I never. That's actually my dream, like to just like being able to talk to her and say thank you for everything she did to me because she's done for me because like she helped me so much when I was a kid. Like I was looking up to her
Yeah.
and Mickie James. I was able to say that to Mickie James, but not Melina.
Yeah.
Hopefully one day. But yes, that would be amazing.
Fingers crossed. Both of them, I've had the opportunity to meet both of them. They're both great. And I feel like, especially with your kind of connection and inspiration drawn from them, it just needs to happen, or somebody just needs to book a match between you guys. Hello?
Oh my God, please. That would be my dream.
Fingers crossed. You never know. You never know in wrestling, but you've had the opportunity to kind of learn from and also work with a lot of legends and vets in the wrestling game. You yourself are kind of becoming a vet now. It's been about 7 years, but what would you say has maybe been the best piece of advice or words of wisdom that you've received so far in your career, and who did it come from?
Oh my God, I got so much because I had the chance to like travel with a lot of like good people,
Yeah.
especially like some friends like Tristan Archer, Aigle Blanc, Senza Volto, like, but I think it was like from Tristan Archer. It was like my first like really real time at WXW. It was for Shortcut to the Top, 2022, I think. It was my first time in Germany for
Yeah.
WXW. Um, and I had like a big panic attack after the match because I like messed up something in the match. So I was like really worried because that
Yeah.
was one of my goals to reach WXW. And after the match, I had like a huge panic attack because I felt like I messed up everything and that they were never gonna book me again and that I missed my chance and stuff. And so I was having this panic attack and I went outside to breathe and Tristan came and he was like, "You're okay. No one else except you and your opponent knew what was gonna happen. So you need to calm down, you know? It's okay." And he just like told me like stuff that like really like helped me like because I used to like stress a lot and have a
Yeah.
lot of anxiety before my matches. And since then, I've been like way more chill now with my matches and stuff. I still like have a little bit of stress, but like now I can manage more because like I don't know, there was so many times with Tristan that we talked during the road and everything, and just helped me so much. Like he was just like, you need to do that to have fun, you know. You need to like you don't need to stress about it, you need to be excited about it. So it's just like helped me so much.
And I know you were really excited about a recent accomplishment, or I should say, placement that you earned on the PWI Women's 250 list, where you ranked at number 173. I mean, amazing. First of all, congratulations on that. That's incredible to, especially to have that European representation on the list where I feel like doesn't get a lot of spotlight. That was amazing. So, can you talk about your initial reaction to not only finding this out, but also what this honor meant to you?
Honestly, I didn't think one bit that I was gonna be on it. Like really, really didn't think I was gonna be on it. Because like I feel like I can like improve a lot and I'm not at all at my top level and I still have a long way to be like one of the best. So when I saw that I was in there, I was like, what the heck? I was expecting other French girls. Like I was ML is on it, like from
Yeah,
France, but I was expecting her to be a lot more higher. I was expecting like Mila Smith to be in it. I was expecting Kira Chimera to be in it, but I wasn't expecting me at all. Like I was like, I'm gonna be like 251 or something like
mhm.
that, you know. But like when I saw that I was in there and there was only ML2 and not like Mila and Kira, I was like shocked, you know, because I feel like they deserved it like way more than me because they did a lot of more like matches than me. And I mean, like Mila did like wrestled pretty much all year,
She did.
and I was like shocked that she wasn't in it, and Kira too. And I was just like, what the heck when I saw it. I know I bought like the PWI like thing, and I was like looking through it, and I was like searching for them. I was like, what the heck?
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, that
mean,
was just like that was just an honor to be honest. I started crying when I saw like my name on it. I started crying and I texted my family and I sent them the screenshot and they were so proud of me. They were like, "Oh my God." And it was just amazing like to have this. It just like encouraged me and just helped me like it motivates me to do better, you know?
yeah, and I mean, wrestling is so subjective and like it's such a unique sport, but I feel like it's really validating. You wouldn't have been on there if you didn't deserve it. So you should be very proud of yourself, and I feel like the European wrestling scene outside of the UK, because I feel like they get a little bit more buzz, but I feel like it's slowly budding and hopefully next year we get some more representatives from France on there, two of you is good, but like you said, there's a whole scene in there that is worth taking a look at and that is really rising. And I know part of this kind of cultivating this, European wrestling scene is bringing in some outside competitors. You have had the opportunity, especially this year, I feel like, to work with many competitors from outside the continent of Europe. Hyon, Delmi Exo, Becca, Nicole Matthews are some names that come to mind. Can you talk about this experience of working with talent from outside of the European bubble?
Oh my God, that's just amazing because you get to like learn a lot. Uh because like unfortunately, like in France, we always like wrestle the same people. And
Yeah.
even in Europe, you end up like wrestling all the time, like the same people. And being able to wrestle them, it just like taught me a lot more in wrestling how to work like a different way, and like being able to like get some new stuff in and have another point of view on wrestling in. So yeah, I was so grateful to being able to work them because they're just like so sweet at first. For well, first they're so sweet, and yeah, they taught me like so many things in wrestling and doing the match and stuff, and just like it's just amazing. Like to being able to wrestle them, like that's just so cool.
I'm curious for you too, the scope is, I feel like, growing all over the world. We got representatives on all continents except Antarctica, of course. So are there any other talents from non-European countries that you're hoping to work with in 2024 coming up?
Um, Still there's a lot of them, of course, but I feel like um, it's more like Japanese girls that I
Yeah,
would love to wrestle because I didn't have to change yet. Well, I wrestled a Japanese girl in Finland,
yeah.
but she was from Finland. Well, she's Japanese, but she didn't wrestle in Japan yet. Now she's in Japan. But other than that, I didn't have like the chance to wrestle like Japanese girl. So that would be my goal because they have like such a different style and different way to work. So I would love to like have that chance to work with them.
Yeah, I know going to Japan is one of your big goals. I have two more questions for you. Outside of traveling to Japan and, across the world, what are some of your personal and professional goals in the next year or so in and outside the wrestling space?
Um, well, yeah, that would be like to still like wrestle like a lot around. I would love to make my UK debut.
Yeah.
Like I would love that. I was supposed to have my UK debut back before the pandemic, but it got canceled because of the
Oh,
pandemic.
yeah.
So and I didn't have the chance to go back there. So I that would be my one of my goals to go to the UK, Japan, of course. Um, yeah, just like being able to wrestle a lot and travel a lot and just have like to have the chance to like wrestle like different like person and learn from everyone and just and everything like and have the chance to like train also like with different people and stuff like what I would love to like go in Japan and train there because you gotta learn like some amazing stuff over there.
Yeah, and I mean, you'd be learning. I'm sure you've maybe learned some strong style, but that especially is kind of the style that's in Japan. And
Mm,
with working, I'm curious, with working with talent from like North America, have you kind of had to adapt to like a different technique or style when working with them? I'm just curious because I know different places have like different styles or different ways that they approach wrestling. So have you come across that in your work with the North American girls?
Um, I feel like it was good because they really like work with the crowd. And
Yeah.
that's the thing that I love. Like they take the time to like, like stop the match and listening to the crowd and just like, like involve with the crowd in it. And that's the thing I really love because like they are able to put the match on hold to just like appreciate the moment. And that's the thing that I really love like working with them. And yeah, I mean like I've always been like good to like adapt to different styles. So I'm like, that was okay with me. But like, I don't know, they have like this, this vibe that's different. Like they're really into like the entertainment
Yeah.
stuff and not just like they're not like rushing into things. Like I was so used to like wrestle with girls that like, like was like really into the match and just like rushing and then they like put the match on hold because they heard like there's the crowd is saying something that it's just like okay that's the moment to hear the crowd and stuff so and that's the thing I have a hard time with to just like whew, listen to the crowd okay let's go.
Yeah, because like we said, wrestling is a people call it a performance art. It's also a combat sport, though. It's a very unique thing that blends a lot of theatrical and athletic elements that you really don't get in any other sport. So taking that in, like you said, that entertainment element and the theatrics of it, I feel like is such a special opportunity to not only like hone your craft but your character as well. So you learn as you go. Everybody is still learning. Nobody is perfect in anything they do. So I think that that's a cool opportunity. Another cool aspect too of working with people from outside kind of your comfort zone. But to close things out, I kind of we've talked about your career and everything thus far. Is there a particular match or moment that you feel really proud of or that stands out to you, and why?
Um, that I feel like every matches that I've done so far is very precious to me because I've been able to learn something from every match that I
Yeah.
had. So choosing one is gonna be hard. Um, there's maybe like two matches.
Okay.
The one that I had against Nicole Matthews at Femme
Yes.
Fatale, because like she's just amazing in what she's doing, and she's just like she knows her stuff. And she just like it was at a moment that I was like feeling like that I wasn't improving in wrestling, and I was like going down the road, and I was like wrestling really bad and stuff, and I was like kind of mad at myself for that. And she just like she was able to give me a match that really like helped me, like was like, okay, I did a good match, because my trainers well, my real trainer Aigle Blanc was backstage, and he saw my match, and he was like very proud because it was like, okay, now you did a good match and you can be proud of yourself. And I was so happy to have that. So she she gave me like my confidence back. So that was very special. The other one was like that was the last match I had. It was in Germany at Wrestling Cult against
Yes.
Millie McKenzie, and I enjoyed myself during this match. And I was like very disappointed because I was very looking forward to wrestle against Millie McKenzie again because she's just amazing.
Yeah.
And so that was ruined because I enjoyed myself. But it took me like it, it it gave me a chance to like step back and just like think about my career and myself and my health because I was very like neglecting my health. So now like that give me the chance to like improve in some like stuff to like prevent me from being injured again. So yeah, that was the two thing I think that's helped me a lot.
Yeah, and especially, I mean, taking care of I feel like in anything, sometimes we can get so lost in our work, but especially in what you're doing that is not only physically, but mentally and emotionally demanding to kind of taking that step back to kind of rebuild and regroup. I feel like sometimes we need those wake up calls, maybe not injury obviously isn't good, but sometimes we need those, I feel like, wake up calls, to keep ourselves in line and keep continuing to improve. But Calypso, before we let you go, can you please share where the listeners can find you online and support you?
You can find me on pretty much every social media: Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, uh, not Twitter now. Now it's X,
Same thing, yes.
Twitter, TikTok, pretty much everywhere. It's Calypso Brunel everywhere except for Instagram. Instagram is it's Calypso. So yeah, and I'm the most active on Instagram.
And you can find all of her links to in one place in her link tree. You can go to Instagram, go find the link in her bio. Everything is there for merch and all of her social media sites and all of that. Calypso, thank you so much for chatting with me today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. That was an honor.